Welcome back. In the last episode, we weren't able to take off the power head or the lower unit. And thank you all for the comments. They were very helpful. And after reading them and looking at some more videos, I think at the end of the day, we just need some elbow grease and some brute force. And we'll see if we can just pry both the power head and the lower unit off. Let's get to work. It took about 45 minutes for me to get this loose. After wiggling it and using a combination of WD-40 penetrant, which you can see I'm applying into the seam between the power head and the midsection, as well as using my flathead screwdrivers to get as much leverage as I can, I was finally able to make some progress and remove the power head from the drive shaft. However, it's still attached to the water pump, and I had to apply some more WD-40, but finally it came off. Let's go! During this process, the gasket broke into many different pieces, so we're gonna have to make a new one when we put it back together. Even with the power head removed, the lower unit would still not come off freely. I suspect, as Zippy suggested in the previous video, the splines of the drive shaft was also rusted on this side as well. And it looks like the impeller housing and the impeller is also stuck within the midsection and would not slide out easily. At first, I thought that this black shape between the lower unit and the midsection was a gear, but then I noticed there were a few moving pieces inside, and I was able to extract 6 to 7 different rubber strips like this, and later I realized that this was actually the impeller. So I think it's clear why the water was not pumping. All the fins of the impeller, as you can see here, it was separated from the impeller body and was no longer actually pumping the water into the water hose. To get to the impeller, first I would need to remove the lower unit. I figured I'd go back to my tried and tested brute force technique using my trusty flathead and hammer. And after a couple more taps, I was able to remove the lower unit. Yep, a couple of pieces came off, and we'll just have to figure out later where those go. But for now, let's take a look at the impeller. So here's what the impeller looks like now, and I still haven't been able to figure out how to remove this drive shaft. So I'm able to move it up, but then the impeller is preventing it from going further up, and I can't pull it down because I think the housing or something inside here is in the way too. And there's literally no more nuts or bolts or screws anywhere along this midsection. So we'll need to figure out a way on how to remove it. I think what I'll try to do is, since the impeller is clearly already broken with all of its fins off, I'll try to completely take this impeller off. Maybe I'll need to cut it in some way, and then that way I can remove the drive shaft upwards. So let's see if that will work. Okay, I've taken the impeller off, but this part of the drive shaft has an extra layer on it. I think it's maybe what was holding the impeller in place. So it's a little bit thicker right here, and it's still preventing the drive shaft from going up. So maybe I'll try to hit it with the hammer some more and see if that does anything. All right, I'm looking at the parts diagram and I see that the drive shaft is actually split into two parts. There's a top portion as well as a bottom portion. And it looks like the impeller and all of the impeller housing components are between the top and the bottom drive shaft. So if you look closer at the area right here, there are indentations along the drive shaft, which means that these look like splines as well. So I'm thinking that maybe this is the lower portion of the drive shaft, and maybe we can just remove this. It looks like the housing is coming out a little bit. So this part of the housing was flush with the lower part of the midsection here, and now you can see it has come out about maybe 6 or 7 millimeters. So I think the hammer is doing something. Let's keep hitting it and see if we can get it to come out. It came out. Look at that. So this is what it looks like. There's two sections which are wider than the drive shaft. One here and one here. And I think because they were very tightly fitted, that's why it took a lot of force to get them out. But I'm happy that we're able to do it. It's kind of hard to see, but when you look inside the midsection here, there is some grooves that run along the inside of the tube, and I'll put a picture up. So the grooves, after being hit with a hammer, probably splayed out a little bit. They don't look symmetrical to me, but I did try, and I can still put the drive shaft in. And it looks like it's still holding well. But we'll see at the end of the day, once we get a new impeller, whether we can put everything back together. I'm back with an update. It's been a couple of days since we originally shot the beginning of the video, and I realized a couple of things. The first is that unfortunately, there's just no aftermarket parts for the Elgin motor. So unlike the Johnsons and Emery's, where there are a lot of different build kits and other parts available, for the Elgin, I wasn't able to find any impellers that would fit the housing with the same inner as well as outer diameters as the original impeller. I looked at other Mercury impellers as well, as suggested from a previous comment, and maybe potentially doubling them up, but wasn't able to find one with the right size either. The other thing is that as we were hammering through the drive shaft, and I noticed the splaying of those screws. I realized what that was, and what happened is that we hammered through these two other pieces, the impeller housing as well as this flat disc. And unfortunately, thinking back, I don't think there was really any other way we could have prevented this. The housing was stuck so tight within the midsection that even if we hammered it the other way, it would have caused the same thing to happen. So we could have tried to separate the two pieces of the drive shaft using other methods, perhaps torching it. But currently, as it stands, those are the three missing pieces that are needed to get this motor fully running and fully restored. So 35, 36, and 37, the impeller, the housing, as well as that flat piece that we broke through. So for now, I put it all back together, and I think we've learned a lot just by the partial restoration of the power head, the magneto, as well as the carburetor. So for now, I think we'll consider this project as a partially restored motor. And until we're able to source those pieces, then this is how this motor will end up. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you for the next episode. Stay tuned.